So in the next race today will be the LC40 Elite category, ready for the first race of today's coverage here at the Lydd karting circuit as they come out for the first of two warm-up laps that will be enacted, and it is Byron Johnson who will take the pole position away from the front here. Lewis, what are we expecting to see today? Any riders you want to you particularly highlight?
Yeah, well, of course, Taylor Tomlinson also competing in this class on the air-cooled motorcycle. It's something which we've seen Byron Johnson do last year, and Byron Johnson do very, very well with. Taylor Tomlinson also doing very well, having double the track time on that air-cooled bike, but he is down a little bit on straight line speed, so it's great to see him in third position. Lewis Hull also starting on the front row of the grid. We've seen yesterday, we seen in round one, a slight fall from him at the tight hairpin infield section, so Lewis Hull was pushing yesterday and managed just to regain some positions before the line. Oh, totally,
yeah, and you see a big difference in rider size here as well, as you can see on your picture. Taylor Tomlinson, a tremendous performance there to get to the third fastest lap on the air-cooled bike.
Yep, third fastest lap, and he looks like he has the race pace as well. Byron Johnson, though, is going to want to try and take the championship this year. Of course, last year's AC40 Pro champion, and he did very, very well in the championship in the LC40 Elite class. So Byron Johnson looking to follow the footsteps in his brother and keep the Johnson tradition going of winning what is the LC40 Elite Championship, as Byron finished second in the championship last year.
Yeah, hopefully, I hope there isn't too much pressure to do exactly what your brother does, but I'm sure he'll be feeling it and wanting to maintain that reputation for sure. So they're coming through then the S's, which is where we often see an issue on the first lap as they go into that left-hander on cold tyres and cold bikes. But ready to get underway then for our grid that we will start for you very shortly. So Byron Johnson will be in pole position thanks to the fastest lap in the previous round. Lewis Hull in second place alongside him, with Taylor Tomlinson and Matthew Thomas on row 2. On row 3, starting fifth, Sam Gardner and Bradley Curtis, who gets another crack of the whip here after an accident in an earlier race. Ollie Sims will start in fourth on the fourth row. In seventh, then Harrison Day. On row 5, Sebastian Goslowski and Nicholas Dunwoody. Row 6 is Liam Lindquist and Oliver Hall. And then in row 7, Rex Austin right at the back today with Josh Perkins and Callum Maxwell right at the very rear of our grid.
Yep, of course, the grid positions are set from the fastest laps across the 3 races at round 1, held at this exact same circuit at Lydd, so the riders, a lot of experience on the track. Bradley Curtis is also in this race, as you mentioned, so he's going to be wanting a good result, starting in 6th position. Of course, Ollie Sims racing in the LC40 Elite class, and Oliver Hall as well. So a lot of talent on this grid and a lot of different rider sizes, as you've already mentioned, which means that the taller riders really have to push in this infield section to make up time.
Totally, yeah, they need to get their braking and cornering absolutely pinpoint accurate in order to maintain that level of competition, because it is such a struggle for the larger riders. You can see the difference in terms of displacement of air as they try and beat air resistance coming through the circuit. And up to the grid then for the start of our next race. It is the LC40 Elites.
Yep, the LC40 Elite is just coming up, and just final checks being done. It looks like Lewis Hull just getting his bike slightly wiped. Maybe it was just a little bit dirty, and now all the riders waiting to go. Oliver Hall having a little chat with his dad before he gets underway, but Lewis Hull, you can just see how difficult it is for him to stick on that bike, but he has the pace, and heading into this race, it's going to be lights on and lights out, and we go racing, and Byron Johnson will lead the way. Lewis Hull having a terrible start, dropping back down to 5th position. It looks like Matthew Thomas in 2nd position at the moment, ahead of Taylor Tomlinson. Bradley Curtis is in 4th place, so Lewis Hull dropping back down to 5th. He's going to have a lot to work to do, but Sam Gardner is just behind him, so a lot of fast riders in this top 10 at the moment, so you really cannot afford to make any mistakes. But right now,
the outside from Taylor Tomlinson there.
Yeah, Taylor Tomlinson, a great move there. Top 3 are practically glued together at the start of this race. Matthew Thomas does not want to let Byron Johnson go, because Byron Johnson is so quick. Even if you can just match his pace for the start of the race, you will be very, very helped throughout in the later stages.
Big battle going into the infield. That's Lewis Hill defending, I think, his 5th place at the moment, and he'll be really ruining that poor start at the start of this first lap.
Yeah, Lewis Hill just managing to get past Bradley Curtis there, and Sam Gardner still in what is 7th position, I believe. So coming across the line now, Byron Johnson leads away from Matthew Thomas, Taylor Tomlinson. Lewis Hill back into 4th position, still trying to work his way up the order. Of course, as the race goes on, as the pace develops, this is where Lewis Hill should get in his own element and be able to make inroad.
Yeah, absolutely. That a little bit of extra experience as well on the bike will help him. We see another move attempted at the back end of the circuit, but it's not quite enough. It's very difficult to pass around there. We've seen it's much harder to pass through that corner, despite that it's similar profile to our final corner here, and heading down towards the infield they come.
Yeah, of course, the opening for today's action is Minimoto's and Sam Gardner getting down the inside there of Bradley Curtis, but can he get switched back? Yes, he can. No, he cannot actually. So Bradley Curtis struggling in that infield section. Now he's already under pressure from what is Sebastian Gieslowski just behind. Sebastian Gieslowski also racing in the pro class, so a lot of work to do as Matthew Thomas tries to make some work to get into the lead.
We have a 3-way battle with Taylor Tomlinson right behind the front two as well. Fantastic stuff. Byron Johnson, Matthew Thomas and Taylor Tomlinson. Remember when you heard those names in future, because I think these are going to be the talents of the future biking championships around the country.
Yeah, talking about talent, Taylor Tomlinson in 3rd position, the fastest lap of the race, a 56.1 on the air-cooled bike. That's so wow. Impressive. And now he's already trying to make a move on Matthew Thomas, but how will he cope in the straight? You can just see them edging away there on this very, very short back straight. So now heading into the infield section, he's going to have to make up all that time that he's losing on the straight.
Yeah, definitely. But of course, the infield section configuration here is going to help him because it means that there's only really one opportunity on the track where the riders in front of him on the liquid cooled bikes will have that extra advantage. So he's just got to focus on every single apex and getting it perfect.
Yep, Lewis Hill still in 4th position, 1.5 seconds away from this front leading trio. So what are they going to do? What can they do to be able to close in this gap? Because if these two groups join at some point, it's going to be a 7-bike battle for the race lead, which will be awesome to see for us and very chaotic for riders. So Bradley Curtis there at the back of your shot, still defending from Sebastian Gieslowski, and now it looks like actually Sam Gardner has got past Lewis.
Great move into the corner there was that Sam Gardner, you say, getting through. Fantastic work against Lewis Hill, who is perhaps going to start be looking in his mirrors and over his shoulder as well to the likes of Brad Curtis, who is going to be right on his tail further here. Byron Johnson continues to lead this trio, followed by Matthew Thomas and Taylor Tomlinson, and then some 2 seconds back it's Sam Gardner. Lewis Hill moving that 1 place down over the previous lap, and Bradley Curtis and Sebastian Gieslowski. These are far and away faster than the rest of the grid.
Yep, further down the field, Rex Austin is making his way back up in 9th position at the moment. Overhaul just crossing the line now in 11th, but there you can see the pressure that Sebastian is trying to build. Any move he can make, he's trying to do, but he can't make it at the moment. 5 laps to go though, so the front leading trio is going to have to break at some point. Someone's going to have to make a move and try something special.
Definitely. 5 to go, as you say, and into the infield we go. These are the leaders. This is Byron Johnson ahead of Matthew Thomas and Taylor Tomlinson.
Yeah, and we're just being told that Ollie Sims is rejoining the race from pit lane. So Ollie Sims also racing in the Metricrit classes here at FAB, is having to go at Minimotos. But Taylor Tomlinson looking down the inside but cannot make it work. Just that straight line speed there really it makes him struggle, make the moves into the braking zone. He has to make up mid-corner.
You can see the gap opening there, but his mid-corner pace is very, very strong, no doubt, because he's still got that fastest lap. It's now 55.975.
The first rider to break into the 55-second bracket, as the rider down the yellow flags, will be out at that section of the track. 4 laps are to go in this race, so hopefully everyone will be okay in that one.
Just being dealt with a yellow flag, so the riders can get back on the pace straight away after they see that yellow flag and the green flag following it, of course, and Byron Johnson leads them through. Rider is up that we saw down, and we're just hearing, which is great to hear.
Yeah, but it's great to hear as now the riders come through the final corner and power it out through to make it 3 laps to go in this race. Time is really starting to run out for these riders. Can anyone match the pace of Taylor Tomlinson? No one can break into the 55, so Byron Johnson leads the way, but Byron Johnson still under immense amount of pressure from Matthew Thomas, who moves up to the grid this year. But I believe actually it's Sebastian Kieslowski who had the crash last lap, so very, very devastating, but you could just see how hard he was pushing.
The gaps have opened up in that battle for fourth, but currently Matthew Thomas getting the hurry up now against Byron Johnson.
Yep, Matthew Thomas really deciding that it's time to go. 3 laps in this race. Next time at the line, it'll just be 2 laps. So you're really running out of opportunities here at Lydd, and you really need to start planning on where you're going to exactly make your attack.
Totally, yeah, and they'll know exactly where they've got in their mind to go for it. But of course, the balance that Matthew Thomas has got is that any major attempt he makes, he's got to make sure that it's not going to leave the door open for Taylor Tomlinson, who is right hot on his heels.
Yeah, he's hot on his heels at the moment, and Matthew Thomas is under pressure, but he won't be thinking too much of that at the moment, because right now he's going to have to make the move. He has 2 laps to do it. It's either pass or be passed. So now what can Taylor Tomlinson do? He's in the slipstream. He's going to have to tuck all of his legs in to try and not lose as much time on the straight. So you can just see coming out of the corner how fast he is there, but Taylor Tomlinson straight away losing the gap as soon as the throttle gets open.
I don't know if it's me and just a trick of the eye, but as he looked over his shoulder, he certainly looked to be actually costing himself time there to Byron Johnson, to Matthew Thomas, who of course was eyes fully forward and planting the throttle.
Yeah, of course, he is on a slightly slower motorcycle, but yeah, sometimes if you are looking behind you, subconsciously you do not pull that throttle all the way full. So yeah, it's just one of those things. But now they're coming across the line to make it 1 lap to go. The last lap flag is out, and Byron Johnson leads the way with Matthew Thomas setting the fastest lap with a 55.6, an incredible lap.
Catching well through the first chicane, but then it's a much longer section, which is where he suffers from the air-cooled bike that he's riding, and it looks like Thomas is going to go for it.
And Matthew Thomas, they're trying to make the move on Byron Johnson. Will he make it on the exit? Looks like he's going to try into a super fast back section of the circuit. He cannot make it work. I think it's all going to be down into the infield section. Matthew Thomas trying to line up, trying to take a wider approach to be able to get the slingshot down the back straight. He'll be in the slipstream, he'll slam on the brakes, but he cannot make it work.
Very early on the brakes. Byron Johnson kind of felt that coming, I think. And Taylor Tomlinson going for a look on the inside of the infield as well. And we're going to finish this one very, very close together, Lewis.
Yeah, we certainly are. Byron Johnson leads the way out the final corner. Matthew Thomas being able to get a better drive. It's going to be a drag to the line. What can Matthew Thomas do? And Taylor Tomlinson still in that third, but Byron Johnson taking the race win by just 1/10 of a second from Matthew Thomas. So great race there.
Tremendous work. The podium obviously completed by Taylor Tomlinson, who's having a fantastic day one already. Set of race ones for this morning's coverage. I'm getting all tongue-tied. Don't worry. Byron Johnson waving, and he even wheelied the bike going over the line to win as well.
Yeah, Byron Johnson, he likes putting on a show for everyone at home. Of course, we have a lot of supporters at home, a lot of friends, a lot of families watching in and tuning in to watch Byron do so well. Of course, Austin also will be racing later on today, but Matthew Thomas, he did give it everything there. You can't blame him for that. You could clearly see himself and Taylor Thompson was trying the hardest.
Oh, definitely. And Byron Johnson earned every single bit of that and every single point that will go towards his LC40 championship bid this year. And coming on into the pits, of course, we'll get your grid for you very shortly and complete our results. It looks like that we did have 3 DNFs.
Yeah, 3 DNFs at that time around, and a couple of crashes, a couple of breakdowns. But yeah, great race. Byron Johnson, your race winner. A 55.7 fastest lap and a 1/10 of a lead at the line. Matthew Thomas is in second position with Taylor Tomlinson in third. Sam Gardner in fourth with Lewis Hull in fifth. Bradley Curtis just behind sixth. Harrison Day having a battle as well with Bradley Curtis in 7th. Rex Austin getting all the way up to 8th position after a poor qualifying, and Liam Lindquist 9th, of Oliver Hall rounding out our top 10. So a very, very good race for the LC40 Elite bikes.
It really was fantastic. We had us absolutely glued to that one, and plenty of racing still coming up. This circuit that is very close to the Lydd airport as well, and so we can see obviously lots of smaller planes out for a fun day flying as well, just over the English Channel and the coastline.
Next up, we are going to have a cracker. We are going to have the LC40 Elite class, the highest class of Minimotos in the United Kingdom. Great riders, great racing, and both liquid and air-cooled motorcycles. We can see all the riders heading out for what is going to be a superb race, a great race earlier on today. Now, race 2 time. These riders are expecting the good conditions on the circuit, with the sun being out and wind looking to die down just a bit.
Possibly, yes, indeed, and that will really favour the riders here today. They are looking forward to showing what they can do here in the LC40 Elite. We can't wait to see some more action. Byron Johnson winning the first race of today, and he'll be trying to defend that win from everybody else on the rest of the day, but he'll be going for a double win if he can. But let's see what the riders can do.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. We're waiting for Byron Johnson to head onto the grid, and then we should get underway. He's one of those riders right now that's just going to the grid late, which for some is quite good. I mean, some riders don't want to spend too long on the grid, too long to think about what can happen, but there he is, doing a little stoppy, going to the line, and definitely showing his face on the grid. And yeah, it looks like his sun visor actually down there inside this helmet. Some of the helmets having an internal sun visor, so you can run a clear visor at all times.
Good stuff. You can see Lewis Hull standing out among the field for being much larger than the rest of the riders, much taller, and they're on their way then for the formation. Now Lewis Hull didn't get a good start in race 1. He'll be hoping to make amends for that one.
Yeah, he will be hoping to make amends. What can Lewis Hull do? What can Byron Johnson do from pole position this race here? The great qualifying from round 1's 3 races, setting a lap time of a 55.413 of a second. So Byron Johnson will be your man starting on pole position. Lewis Hull will be next to him in second position. Taylor Thomason will be starting in third, with Matthew Thomas alongside him in the second row. The third row of the grid will be occupied by Sam Gardner and Bradley Curtis. Ollie Sims will be starting in 7th next to Harrison Day, Sebastian Gosowski and Nicholas Dunwoody on the 5th row of the grid, with Liam Lindquist and Oliver Hull just behind them in 11th and 12th. Rex Austin will be starting in 13th, with Josh Perkins in 14th, and Callum Maxwell rounds out our 15 bike grid for the LC40 Elite class.
Interesting to see Rex Austin right at the back here as well after his laps, and yet he's so much quicker on his other categories. So this bike not suiting him just yet at this early part of our championship 2023.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Rex Austin can come through the field. What's going to happen? We're going to have to wait and see. There's riders which are the stars of the future. This is the highest class of Minimoto racing here in the UK. We await for the lights to go on. Can Byron Johnson do it all again? The lights go on. The lights go off and we go racing. And Byron Johnson gets a good start, and Taylor Thomason tries to get ahead of Lewis Hull, but Lewis Hull braves it round the outside for second place. Taylor Thomason sits in third position at the moment. Matthew Thomas, I believe, is in 4th position, but now Bradley Curtis is getting pushed down to 5th. It's Sam Gardner that's in 4th position as Ollie Sims gets pushed down to 6th. He tries to go around the outside though.
Very, very close. It just off the fight for the podium here as they're just almost touching as they go round that long right-hander at the back of the circuit.
Yeah, we go along the other right-hander. It's very, very fast down the back straight, and Lewis Hull tries to find a way around the outside. Of course, he had a crash here, this exact corner at round 1 on the brakes. He just braked a bit too hard. Down he went, the front almost locked and just threw him down. Of course, Lewis Hull having to make up the ground a lot more on the brakes and through the corners due to his size. He'll lose a lot of time on the straight compared to the likes of Taylor Thomason and Byron Johnson. But of course, Taylor Thomason has his own straight line issues. He is on an air-cooled motorcycle in a liquid-cooled class, so he is losing a tiny bit of top speed. But as you can see, he's making it all up in the corners. He's riding that wheels off the bike. A 58.4 last time around from Taylor Tomlinson, the fastest lap of the race. And now he goes down the inside. Number 77, Taylor Tomlinson is continuing to impress. But there's Lewis Hull under threat from Matthew. So Matthew Thomas getting in the mix, but Lewis Hull round the outside there. Wow, what a move there from Lewis Hull. And now he looks like he wants to do the same on Byron Johnson, but he cannot make it work. And now Taylor Tomlinson also getting passed by Matthew Thomas.
Yeah, it was a great overtake on the previous lap from Taylor Tomlinson, but he's lost 2 places this time round. Just getting a little bit in betwixt and between going through the S's, and Lewis Hull right round the outside. A great overtake from him.
Yeah, Lewis Hull now trying to defend second position, trying to catch up to Byron Johnson, who now sets the fastest lap of the race, a 56.3 this time around. 0.6 of a second of a gap between first and second at the line. But Lewis Hull now second position, under threat for Matthew Thomas. Matthew Thomas is looking very, very racy on that bright green bike.
He is indeed, and he's got everything dialed in here, going for it, and coming out of the long right-hander into the most difficult corner on the circuit, that right left after the kink, and then going to try and challenge Lewis Hull now, but Lewis Hull with a good performance through that intersection, that switchback section.
Yep, 7 laps to go in this race as we're in the infield section. Taylor Thompson trying to regain the ground that he lost just a couple of laps ago on Matthew Thomas. Can he find a way past? We're going to have to wait and find out. He's going to have to push so hard, but Matthew Thomas, he's clearly pushing. He's like a bucking bronco at some point to that circuit there. So Matthew Thomas, he goes through the right, he goes through the left, flips back over to the right-hand side tire. You can see Taylor Thompson initially getting a good drive out the corner, but then Matthew Thomas starts to edge away as we go down the straight.
So just the setup differences between the bikes just coming to the fore there?
I believe it's more just the air bike of Taylor Thompson struggling with just at the top speed point, but obviously could be down slightly different lines, because you've seen there Taylor Thompson taking a far tighter line. It seems to be the corner where we've seen the most lines out of different riders today.
We've got close battles further back. Sam Gardner just 0.7 of a second away from Bradley Curtis, and we've got super close 4th, 9th place Liam Lindquist, Nicholas Dunwoody and Oliver Hall down in at the rear of the field, but trying to get points today.
Yeah, we've seen some great battles from these guys earlier on today in the AC40 Pros and the LC40 Elite classes. Oliver Hall trying to get past at the back of this pack. What can he do? Currently in the 11th place, Nicholas Dunwoody ahead, and his sparring partner Liam Lindquist. Liam Lindquist, though, has been going very, very well around this Lydd karting circuit. But there we go, round the outside goes Oliver Hall. What a great overtake on Nicholas Dunwoody. Now, he's going so fast, he almost ran into the back of what was Liam Lindquist. So Liam Lindquist, he's got to be put under pressure now. He's got to know Oliver Hall's there. Now he's definitely got to know, because contact was almost made there. He looks down the inside. Oliver Hall, wow, what a dive. 5 laps to go, and now Oliver Hall leads this group for 9th position. So battles raging on everywhere,
up and down the field, and tremendous work there. Byron Johnson still in the lead of this race, though, by less than a second from Lewis Hull, who in turn is only half a second in front of Matthew Thomas, who in turn is only 1/4 of a second in front of Taylor Tomlinson.
Yep, 4 laps to go now as the leaders cross the line once again, and Oliver Hall in this group, he's already started to edge away, and it's just leaving Nicholas Dunwoody and Liam Lindquist kind of in their own lines at the moment and kind of having their own battle. But there is the battle for 3rd position at the moment between Matthew Thomas and Taylor Tomlinson, and just ahead of them is Lewis Hull in 2nd place. So Lewis Hull, he's still defending that 2nd place. He's still doing very quick lap times, but running wide there. Matthew Thomas advantage straight away, but I'm sure Lewis Hull will be sure to dive down the inside or even around the outside, as we've seen so far in this race on Matthew Thomas. So what can Lewis Hull do and try to make up ground? Look at the different line from him.
Absolutely, yeah. He was down on the brakes, trying to get the bike turned in, and he's really good on traction on the way out of the infield section. But he goes wide there for a moment, much wider than the rest, and he manages to get a good cutback. He's going to be challenging into turn 1, but not quite. Matthew Thomas holds on at the moment to that 2nd position.
Yeah, he holds on, and you can just see now Lewis Hull, he's even struggling to tuck in his legs down the straight. He's so tall compared to the likes of Matthew Thomas. Matthew Thomas now powering out. Oh, Matthew Thomas is down. Matthew Thomas there on the throttle, a bit of lean angle, the front end got light, and down he went into the grass and into the barrier.
He's straight back up though, turning the bike back on, but he went down on the seat of his pants, unfortunately, but that worked out well for him.
Yeah, it could have went worse, but Matthew Thomas up on the street. Hopefully they can get that bike restarted and get some points still on the board. But Lewis Hull now, it's just himself and Taylor Tomlinson who's going to be battling for that third position, that all-important final place on the podium with just 3 laps to go. There is Sam Gardner and Bradley Curtis battling for 5th place as Tomlinson now goes down the inside for 3rd position.
Fantastic.
So 2 laps to go in this race. Who's going to get the final position on the podium? We're going to have to wait and find out.
It's great stuff to see both Taylor Tomlinson and Lewis Hill battling this hard. They're 2 very differently sized riders, of course, and on different bikes as well, but so close on this race here at the LC40 Elites, the highest category of mini moto bikes.
Yep, 2 laps to go in this race. Back set circuit now. Lewis Hull, we see him run wide, just a couple of laps to go here, but there is your race leader. There is Byron Johnson. He leads the way by 2.3 seconds at the line last time around from Taylor Tomlinson. So down into the inside section we go, into the infield, and he just looks so confident. He's got no one really right now to put himself under pressure, so it's just trying to stay focused and not make any silly mistakes.
Calm and relaxed, both in mind and body, it looks like, from Byron Johnson as he goes to start his final lap. And actually, that was quite a lap from Taylor Tomlinson. Look, 55.687 gets the fastest lap of the race.
Yep, Taylor Tomlinson showing his pace late on, 1.6 of a second gap, and there's another rider, I believe it's actually Liam Lindquist, who's stopped at the side of the track there, so disappointing end to his race. But final lap time, it's Byron Johnson who leads the way. He's looking about, trying to see where anyone is.
It's possible he's just nursing a problem towards the end. He's very concerned about the gap behind, isn't he? But he can see Taylor Tomlinson, I think, just in the periphery of his vision as he goes through that corner, and they're heading in then to the infield for the final time, Lewis.
Yeah, heading into the infield for the final time. He just has a couple more corners to get around and to keep Taylor Tomlinson behind him, to keep Taylor Tomlinson at bay. But once again, it's going to be Byron Johnson who takes 2 for 2 at round 2 here at FAB. He takes the checker flag to take the race when Byron Johnson does a little wheelie off light to celebrate, and Taylor Tomlinson comes home in a remarkable 2nd place. Lewis Hull in 3rd, and Sam Gardner looks to be coming home in 4th position with Bradley Curtis just behind.
Taylor Tomlinson picked up the pace so much there, and he's having such a good day here at Lydd karting circuit, and the two rivals ride together on the way in. But a great win from Byron Johnson. 2 wins out of 2 races, and here we have then your winner, Byron Johnson from Taylor Tomlinson, and Lewis Hull in the end for the podium. Tremendous stuff.
Yeah, great race. Byron Johnson, the race winner, and what a great 1.5 second of a gap between Byron Johnson and Taylor Tomlinson. The LC40 Elite will be returning later on for their final race of the day. Of course, one more race, 3 races for all classes here at round 2 of FAB, and what a great race we just had. As you see, the riders now coming into the infield section to finish up their lap. But of course, your race winner was Byron Johnson, who wins by 1.5 seconds from Taylor Tomlinson. Lewis Hull rounds out our podium with Sam Gardner in 4th. Bradley Curtis comes home in 5th position. Harrison Day, Oliver Hull in 6th and 7th, with Nicholas Dunwoody and Callum Maxwell in 8th and 9th. And Matthew Thomas rounding out our top 10 after that crash on the final couple laps. And there is Matthew Thomas walking away. Good to see he's up on his feet though, and it was quite a big crash. But what a race we had. One more race coming up later on today for the LC40 Elite class. But now the riders will push their bikes back into pit lane, back into the paddock before we should be able to get going again. You can see Lee Klaus there walking out of the pit lane, helpers as well, and there is, look at Alan and some of the other riders waiting to go, and there's Lewis Hull actually having a talk about that race to his mum in the pit lane. So great to see all the riders having a chat after that race.
And we're back out on track again, this time for the LC40 Elites. This is now the final race of the weekend for these guys.
Well, and we're just being told in our ear, breaking news for race 3 in the LC40 Elites. Austin Johnson, last year's LC40 Elite champion, will race in this race from the back of the grid. So we believe. So last year's champion, potentially, is going to be on this grid.
Is he going to try a last to first challenge? I wonder. Well, let's see what he can do. But that would be great if we can get him back on the bike that he presumably left alone after last year.
Yep, well, he's got his brother in the front row and on pole position, and they were sparring partners last year, so he's going to have a lot of work to do to beat Byron Johnson. Everyone is going to have a lot of work to do to beat Byron Johnson.
Yes, indeed. He won the first race today, and we were hearing that it's possible Byron might try out on the 50 race as well later. But let's see what happens once the grids are confirmed. And away they go then. There's Taylor Tomlinson, the rocket ship that he can be on various bikes, but Lewis Hull, the characteristically much larger racer, he's obviously been eating his shreddies in the morning, because he's certainly had a growth spurt.
Yeah, he's definitely having to fight for every single position he's got. But another advantage, there is an advantage of having a bigger body. It does mean moving your body weight from one side to another. On the Minimoto, it's much easier. And defending, he has a bigger body to be able to defend in the corner, so he doesn't have to be as precise and as tight if he was trying to defend.
Yeah, and presumably more air resistance in the braking zone as well, as he sits up to break the bike down to its required speed, especially on the way into this infield that they're just working through now.
Yeah, there's working their way through the infield and to the grid for what is going to be an incredible race for the LC40 Elite class. But actually, I do not see Austin Johnson on the grid at the moment, so maybe...
But his brother will start at the front with Lewis Hull alongside him, Taylor Tomlinson and Matthew Thomas behind them, Sam Gardner, Bradley Curtis, Ollie Sims, Harrison Day, and I'm hoping I've got enough time, Sebastian Goslowski in 9th, Nicholas Dunwoody, Liam Lindquist, Oliver Hall, Rex Austin, Josh Perkins and Callum Maxwell. And we're about to get underway. It is lights on. It's time to go racing once again. And it's lights out and away they run, and it's a great start there for Byron Johnson away from the start beautifully as the riders tuck in and get themselves headed towards the first major switchback chicane. Here they go into the corners, and it's beautiful stuff from all the riders. Very clean start and a late lunge down into the long right-hander at the back of the grid, and that is who else but Taylor Tomlinson from the opening lap.
Yep. Great passer, great battles all the way down the field at the moment. You see Ollie Sims further back down the field there, trying to catch on to the back of Bradley Curtis. There's Harrison Day and Oliver Hall having their own little battle further down. Oliver Hall actually trying to find a move, trying to find a way past Harrison Day. But Harrison Day, he's having a great day at the moment and able just to get the positions up and able to get his pace back up and his confidence back up. As Luke Allen was saying, it's really working on that mental side and that mental block that he currently has from his injury last year. But at the front, Byron Johnson leads the way, Lewis Hull second, the fastest lap, but of course that's from a standing start, so we'll have to wait this lap to see the proper pace of these riders.
Absolutely, and Ollie Sims got ahead of Harrison Day, Oliver Hall got ahead of Nicholas Dunwoody, so good one if your name begins with Ollie.
Yes, so it seems so, and there is Ollie Sims battling at the moment with Bradley, so it's going to be a great battle for Bradley Curtis. Yeah,
less than a quarter of a second separating those two. Oliver Hall is less than that behind Harrison Day, but at the moment Byron Johnson leads Lewis Hull by 0.3 of a second, nearly 0.4 as they crossed the line the last time, and it looks about that as they come through the infield at the moment. It's getting very busy in this infield section on our second lap with 7 to go as they cross the line to start their second lap, and that will be one fewer laps. Of course, 6 laps to go now. Byron Johnson ahead of Lewis Hull. Taylor Tomlinson, though, set the fastest lap that time round.
Yep, Taylor Tomlinson, we seen how fast he was for the mid-corner point, actually, throughout this race. As Ollie Sims actually gets ahead of Bradley Curtis, and Bradley Curtis, of course, is coming from racing in Scottish Minimoto Championship, which sadly is no longer around. But there he is, there actually, battling again. And wow, that got close there. Right now, Bradley Curtis, he loves Mark Marquez, and right now he's clearly trying to break those passes, because wow, what a move that was. A great bravery.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting up in the order, but he's left the door open here, and down the inside will go. Is that Ollie Sims again? So they've reversed positions twice in this current race, but that is a fantastic pair of moves. Frankly, it looks like Bradley was just struggling for momentum after completing such a good move, but back in front he is, ahead of Ollie Sims with a personal best 56.9. Taylor Tomlinson, another fastest lap. That time he can really go when he's on his own, Lewis, but it's when he gets stuck behind these other cars with their top speed differential that he's just a bit boxed in.
Yeah, it just shows that Taylor Tomlinson on his own with good track, he can just as fast, if not faster than Byron Johnson. 3 steps faster than Byron Johnson last lap, actually. So Oliver Hall right now chasing Harrison Day, and really Harrison Day's having a great ride at the moment. Both of them are battling. You can just see how their bikes are positioned. You can just see actually his bike's a bit to come round the outside. Oliver Hall, oh my god, he seems so quick. Will he be able to switch back? No, he cannot. So Oliver Hall, it's clear, in the braking zone into that hairpin, that is where he's going to try to make all of his passes. Absolutely.
I mean, that's if he's got the braking potential and he's able to get the momentum out of the previous corner, it's obviously working out exceptionally well for him. Taylor Tomlinson has passed Lewis Hull for second position, and that is a big change for second place. And now Taylor Tomlinson might be able to take the fight here to Byron Johnson if he can just get the gap behind from Lewis Hull.
Yeah, there's a 1.3 second gap to be able to get back, but now you can see Oliver Hall still trying to find a way past this lap. He's got to try and move once again. He's got to try to get on the inside. I believe if he did that same move that he tried last lap round the inside, it would have worked. But there's Taylor Thompson. You can see that gap already on Lewis Hull. You can see how much of an inroad he's already made on Byron Johnson. Yeah, I think that might be approaching 0.4 of a second. He's actually caught Byron Johnson in that previous lap. So Taylor Tomlinson, he's been content-ish to ride behind these two riders in the first 2 races, but he's really wanting to finish with a bang. Yeah, he certainly is. The gap now down to just 0.8 of a second, a 55.2. That time around as Harrison Day is still holding on from Oliver Hall. Oliver Hall, you can just see how close he's closing in. He's going to move anywhere into this chicane. Can he make it work? Of Harrison Day is a rider down there, and that is Bradley Curtis. Hopefully he's okay. Assisted onto his feet, and yeah. So 3 laps to go in this race. Bradley Curtis is down and assisted off the circuit at the moment, so hopefully he is okay. But yellow flag is out in that sector at the moment, which meant there was no overtaking between Oliver Hall and Harrison Day. But now they head down the back straight. Can Oliver Hall make it happen? Look how much he gains on that break. He absolutely does, and he's definitely got the legs on the rider in front. But it's just a question of can he get fully alongside, and actually it looks like Harrison Day is not willing to give up that inside line, and can obviously command the racing line as a result through that infield section. Yeah, Harrison Day, very consistent ride from him at the moment. Overall, Harrison Day just looks very consistent whenever he's on the bike. There's not really anywhere that he looks too bad. It just looks like Oliver Hall is so good in the brakes. Just 2 laps to go in this race though, and Taylor Tomlinson is bringing down that gap once again. A new fastest lap of the race, a 54.8 last time around. So 54.8, that's very impressive. And the lap record in the elite class is a 54 dead, so still 0.8 of a second off. Okay, well, it's the fastest in this race, and that's what counts. It's about being fast when it matters, and it only matters in terms of how the race is performed. There's no points for the lap record, of course, or for fastest lap, but it's a sense of bragging rights for the riders. And something went wrong on that previous lap. I don't know if Taylor Tomlinson had an issue going through past the back marker. Byron Johnson looks over his shoulder, and he can see the gap has opened to 1.7 seconds now, so it is going very nicely for Byron Johnson. Yep, very nicely for Byron Johnson. It is the last lap of the race. It's the last lap of the weekend for the LC40 Elite class and for all our Minimoto action. So Byron Johnson, he just needs to hold on for one last sector and a couple more corners to take the race win.
I wish he'd stop looking behind him. He knows how big that gap is. It's making me nervous just to watch him.
Yeah, it's making us nervous, but here he comes around the final corner. His family will be nervous as Byron Johnson wins once again in the LC40 Elite class. Dominant fashion. It looked like Taylor Tomlinson would be able to take it, but in the late stage of the race, he had no answer. Potentially maybe some back markers coming into play, but Lewis Hull in third, and look at this group of riders. Ollie Sims, Harrison Day just defending off Oliver Hall at the line. Wow, great defending from him, but there is a race winner, and there is Byron Johnson.
Yeah, congratulations to him. A really, really good result, and completing another really good result for Taylor Tomlinson today as well. He's certainly going to go home very happy, I think.
Yeah, he really is. William, both himself and Taylor can hold his head high. Of course, Taylor will have some action to do later on still in the Mini GP 50s, and Byron may also make a surprise appearance in some other classes. But Byron Johnson is your race winner by 2.6 seconds over Taylor Tomlinson. Lewis Hull rounds out our podium with Ollie Sims in 4th position. Harrison Day has an epic battle throughout the whole race with Oliver Hall, just managing to defend at the line by 91 thousandths of a second. Nicholas Dunwoody comes home in 7th with Callum Maxwell in 8th, and Bradley Curtis sadly DNFing, but we did see him briefly on his feet.
Yeah, we did, absolutely, and we hope everything is going to be very good for them, but we have had an awful lot of fun with that, with these mini bikes, and with more mini bike action still to come on the channel that you're watching. And we thank you for watching with us. We thank you for liking and sharing or following as is appropriate on whichever channel it is that you're tuned in with us. We're having a great time here at the event at FAB-Racing. Where are we headed to next, Lewis?
Well, first of all, we've got an 8-round championship, and it's going to be a long one. This is round 2 at the moment.
Edmonds, is it next that we're going?
And then next up, we're heading all the way to Red Lodge in Suffolk.